Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Football. My name is John Halpin alongside Chris Palma. Chris Palma, how are we doing today?
Doing all right, man. Here we are again. It's not the football season, but it is the off season, and free agency just ended. Much to talk about. Very exciting.
There has been a lot that has happened from the Super Bowl to today, and congratulations to the Los Angeles Rams for winning against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes, congratulations. Very fun game to watch as well.
It is, even though that was the last game, there has been a lot that has happened since then. So, but welcome back, Tom Brady, even though he basically never left.
Yep. 40 days, just over a month. Apparently there's unfinished business for a 7-time world champion. But welcome back. You're coming back for, I think it was, the 23rd season now?
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to watch. It ain't the same league, though, so buckle up.
Yeah, so as of this recording, there has been a new change to the NFL rules. In the postseason, if a team scores a touchdown, the other team will now be able to receive a possession. Now, if they score a touchdown and also tie it, then it's just sudden death. Whoever just scores next wins. But this stems off of that Kansas City Buffalo game in the postseason. Tell me, what are your thoughts on this rule change?
I got to tell you, I love it. I kind of wish it expanded more into the regular season as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily a fan of watching the walk-off wins. I like the college energy where it's play until it's over. You change up how it's played a little bit. You cut the time a little, and you have a specific type of gameplay for overtime.
Mm-hmm.
It causes a different type of coaching, different type of play scheme, the whole nine. Like, if you have to prepare for overtime, you have to prepare for overtime as if it is its own game.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that could actually bring the league to a different level of competition again. But for the playoffs, I feel like that is it's going to make for such better playoff games, especially with the 17th week and the ability to have more than two. Sometimes there is actually a chance where 4 division teams of the same division go to the playoffs. So it could make for much more competitive wildcard rounds, make for much more competitive divisional rounds leading to the Super Bowl. So very exciting to see.
So now that this rule only applies to the postseason, it does not apply to the regular season. So teams can still tie and teams can still have walk-off games in the regular season. But in the postseason, it's just going to give fans more of that game, because that game against the Chiefs was like the Chiefs and the Bills. That was such a great game that fans just wanted more, and the league says, you know what, we wanted more too, and we're just going to give you more of that game.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's going to make for, like you said, it's going to make for some great games in the playoffs this year. So, but there have been a lot of move changes within the league. So this is not the same league that it was last year. And there have been so many different changes throughout the league. But I think we want to start with Brian Flores coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers as a linebacker coach, you said, right?
Yes. You and I we kind of discussed, like, Brian Flores, him being out of a job, and that he will land somewhere, but it will ultimately hurt him being a head coach. And, of course, circumstances are it has affected him as being a head coach. But being a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers coaching staff, good on you. You have now joined one of the single most respected franchises in NFL history.
Mm-hmm.
And, you and Mike Tomlin have a very solid relationship together. Help us become a better team. We made some moves that we will talk about that you can help form into even better players. The big hope is that you can help mold Devin Bush. That's where my hope is that you can help bring Devin Bush to another level. I feel you can. I want to see it happen. I like the move. I love it. And hopefully, maybe in time, it could turn into like an assistant head coach thing.
Mm-hmm. See, I would just like to. I just like to see Brian Flores within the league because I think he has such a wonderful football mind, and it would be a shame if he was not in the league because the way he sees the game is very interesting, and I think it's what makes us draw to his style of coaching and his way of looking and attacking and playing the game as a coach. Um, I just like to see Brian Flores, especially on the Steelers too, because I think that's a really good fit. Like him and Mike Tomlin, like those are some of the best football minds on the like in the league are on the Steelers. So I'm really happy that he found a job. But there have been so many players and coaches alike that have found jobs. New head coaches. I know in the last video we talked about a lot of head coaching vacancies that have been filled by a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time for the players to start shifting around.
Yes, and shift they have.
Tell me, who's the first player that you think of that them going to a new team really changes that team?
To me?
Yeah.
Khalil Mack to the Chargers.
Ooh. Okay. Tell me your thoughts on Khalil Mack on the Chargers.
Well, you know me. I've been a fan of Khalil Mack since he's came into the league. I thought he was going to bring the Raiders to a new level. He brought them together and started the energy of what we see now. And then he went to the Bears. And then you look at the first 2 years that he was on the Bears. And then, they started kind of overpaying players, underpaying other players after that. Some injuries happened, and, the team wasn't what it was destined to be.
Mm-hmm.
To me, he's a championship player who's never played on a championship team. You look at that Chargers team, they're ready to win. And now you give someone like Joey Bosa, someone on the other side, God help you for that defense. Especially because you have someone matching that energy with Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa is a scrapper, and he falls under the radar just because of just how good Aaron Donald is. Everyone looks at Aaron Donald, T.J. Watt, J.J. Watt, Khalil Mack, and now Max Crosby.
Crosby, Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa.
Right, but Joey Bosa is at the bottom of that list.
But he's still one of the greats in the league.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I like that he's flying under the radar, especially now with Khalil Mack coming in. Everyone's going to look and be like, who saw this coming?
You know what that duo kind of reminds me of? And I know you'll
I think I'm going to like this. Go for it.
Dwight Freeney.
I knew it! Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis.
Absolutely.
I knew you were going to say that. And, I could see that to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why. The both of them were about twice the size of Joey Bosa, but they could move like Khalil Mack. Now, the duo that we just saw that reminds me of that more was Aaron Donald, Von Miller.
See, that was...
Because Dwight Freeney was that power rush, like Robert Mathis, where Von Miller had that angle coming underneath with the cut, rip, swing move, like Dwight Freeney.
Mm-hmm.
So that was could be more of a comparable duo to what you're referring to. The duo that I see there is like I would say like a Michael Strahan and a Justin Tuck combination.
Okay.
And Justin Tuck again is bigger than Joey Bosa, but is the same speed.
Mm-hmm.
Speed, rip moves, and I'm getting to you before you realize that I'm in the backfield.
So you think are they gonna convert more to a 4-3 defense?
I would like to see that. I would like to see more of a 4-3 defense. I'm always been accustomed to the 4-3 defense. I like having that extra man down. It kind of leaves you open in the backfield, but that leaves you to trust your secondary. If you have a good core group, you can trust anybody anywhere to do what they need to do, and they're going to work together. I would like to see that, but I would also like to see the play calling in San Diego. Now that they have the talent, now they can start doing things that we weren't seeing on defense. We could start seeing a couple of trick plays here and there versus just the upfront 3-4 big nickel and big dime packages that they were running all season. But yeah, I love the Khalil Mack to the Chargers.
Their defense definitely got better. I believe they also got J.C. Jackson, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Really?
Yeah. We have a list, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, J.C. Jackson to the Chargers. Woo! So.
Okay.
But there is an ongoing trend in the NFL where teams are going, as they're starting to say, all in. Teams are just going all in and just using, that analogy. But we're starting to see a lot of teams take a lot of big swings on a lot of big name players. I'm just going to rattle off just a few that has happened in the offseason. Deshaun Watson to Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson to Denver. Von Miller to the Bills. Devontae Adams to the Raiders. Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins. Whew. And there's just an ongoing thing. I know Mitch Trubisky to the Steelers.
Yeah, but I want to backtrack again to Deshaun Watson going to the Browns.
Okay, Deshaun Watson.
Yes. That team just took a big jump. And I'm talking to you as an AFC North rivalry right now, Steelers to Ravens. Don't sleep on the Browns now. We are a 4-team division, and we're going to be a 4-team division for a long time now. Baker's out. Not out because he's still on the roster, but it's set in stone now that Deshaun Watson is where they're leading. Deshaun Watson with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in the backfield. They have draft picks to pick up skill guys. That's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough. They
man.
were the number one offense in the league with Baker Mayfield.
Last year, no. They were
2 years ago.
2 years ago, they were one of the best rushing teams in the league. Yeah.
Right.
And they still do. They still have a very good team, even without their quarterback aside, Deshaun Watson or Baker Mayfield. Their team is a very well-constructed team because they have a good balance of early draft picks that they have invested in over the years, excluding Baker Mayfield, but Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, like players that have been with the Browns for a good amount of time, as well as players that they have got in free agency, John Johnson as well. They have gotten so many other really good players, Amari Cooper, Kareem Hunt, yes. Jarvis Landry.
So I'm pretty sure they actually just released Jarvis Landry.
I believe so, but he was good for the Browns.
I liked Jarvis Landry.
In the time that he was there, I gotta say he was a good receiver for the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
But man, there has been a lot of changes. Tell me, just looking over the list, what are some off-season moves that just really pique your interest?
Well, there's a couple of them here. I'm going to rattle off two teams that made three pretty big moves. First, I'm going to go with Miami. Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
Cedric Wilson.
Tyreek Hill in that Miami Dolphins jersey, though.
Yes. Yes, I'm with it. Cedric Wilson. And Taron Armstead.
Taron
Armstead.
Yeah.
Has three major holes that you guys had that you just filled.
You stack your wide receiver and you get a guard. I'm sorry, a tackle. I believe a left tackle.
I believe a blindside tackle.
Yeah, so.
Right. And now flip to Cincinnati. What was the one thing we were saying that they had issues with the entire year? They had no offensive line.
Oh my God. You don't say.
They picked up three offensive linemen, one of which is a Super Bowl champion from Tampa.
Alex Kappa, right?
Alex Kappa.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Karras from New England, who is learning from Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
and La'el Collins from Dallas. Another kick in the pants there. Dallas Cowboys dumped their entire offensive line this offseason.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can see a lot of teams what they're trying to do by the players that they're adding, and by also the players that they're not keeping as well. I want to also point to Green Bay did not retain Devontae Adams.
Yes.
He chose to go to the Raiders. They were offering him the same amount of money, but he said, "Peace, I'm going to Derek Carr."
I love it.
And that is such a great move for the Raiders because I believe they are also getting someone else on defense as well. But Chandler Jones on the opposite side of Max Crosby.
Oh.
And so talk about the Chargers with that nasty duo on I think the Raiders are doing the same, following in the same suit. And I'm just very happy to see it. Like there's a lot of great players that are in a lot of good fits there. Mm-hmm. Von Miller to the Bills. I think that's a really good move.
I like Von Miller to the Bills.
I think that's
too.
That's an excellent move in this offseason, and I think the Bills are, if not the favorite in the AFC, they should be one of the favorites in the AFC.
If they aren't your AFC favorite, you're a fool and you don't know what you're watching. Yeah. Gotta give a shout out to Vegas though, man. They're just rising in drafts in stock in the AFC. And you know me, I've had a soft spot for the Raiders since we're in high school. But now, what did I say in high school? Give them 8 years, fam.
I know you always just saying give them whatever amount of years. I said like next year, and then
I never said no. I said give them 8 years. I remember I said give them 8 years, and they will be playoff contenders.
See, you know what's crazy though is like we said that, and then shortly after that, Gruden became a
thing,
and then now it's after Gruden. It's like okay, after Gruden, they're gonna be better.
Absolutely, they'd be better. One of the sleeper cell free agency pickups though. Matt Ryan to Indy. Give him once around the sun with T.Y. Hilton?
Well, T.Y. Hilton's not the receiver that he was anymore.
No.
But I do like that move of Matt Ryan going to Indy. And I'm sorry for the Falcons because they are just going to be a desperate team for the next couple years.
The one that I feel for, Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
I feel for him.
Yeah. There's... He's a rookie with great potential. And it's like now they have signed Marcus Mariota.
And the thing is, Marcus Mariota isn't terrible. He was just never brought to be anything.
No.
He was always meant to be trade bait from the minute he stepped in the league. And that was unfortunate. Another really great one, Robert Woods to Tennessee.
I think that's a good fit.
That's a great fit.
Because think of so far. I mean, Julio wants to leave. That's fine, but you have A.J. Brown and now Robert Woods, and you still have Derrick Henry coming off, and he's going to be angry. And I'm just excited to see Derrick Henry come back and just be angry and say, "I want my crown back," and look at Jonathan Taylor say, "I'm coming after you."
So now let me ask you, how do you feel about Marcus Williams coming to Baltimore?
See, I have been saying for years that the Ravens need a safety, and you know me, I never really believed in Tony Jefferson. I know he's a good one, but Chuck Clark definitely earned my respect because he definitely balled out this past year.
Yes, he did.
And I'm very happy for that. And I think to have Marcus Williams aside Chuck Clark, I like that. I like that a lot. Because I trust Marcus Williams because he's a very smart player, and even though he hasn't been in the league for that long, he's he sees the field very well, and that's just one of the best qualities you want to see in a safety. And I'm just so happy that he'll be a good fit because now I think we also need to focus on getting a cornerback for depth purposes. Mm-hmm. Because once Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters were out for the year, we had no secondary.
Very little secondary.
So we need to draft Jimmy Smith. I love you. You gotta retire, boo boo.
Was that like the only significant free agent pickup that you guys had this year?
So far, yeah. The Ravens have retained a lot of players. They re-signed a lot of players.
Okay.
They re-signed Patrick Ricard to a 3-year deal. They also re-signed Brandon Williams to about, I think, a 3 or 4 year deal.
So you guys are dedicating within yourselves versus reaching back out. I respect that. I didn't know.
And also going through the draft as well, because
Right.
we still have a lot of players that do need to develop. Patrick Queen as well.
I love Patrick Queen.
Odafe Away.
Another one.
He was a game changer pickup last year, and I'm so happy we picked him. And I want to see more of Rashad Bateman because he can be a great receiver, but he came in the middle of the season, and that's when everyone was hurt. So I want to see him have a full year. And also the running backs, the 3 running backs, though, are going to be coming back. So Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins.
Yep.
Yes. I'm just excited to see them come back.
Another big kick in the pants from Dallas, Amari Cooper to Cleveland. You know, and then adding Deshaun Watson. That's another weapon for Watson, man.
I think I know they don't have. I don't believe they have Austin Hooper anymore, and Jarvis is going to leave. So if they have Amari Cooper, that's fine. They need to get more skill position players just to kind of get on the outside, even though they are a run-centric team, and they should continue to feed the ball to Chubb. No matter who your quarterback is, give Nick Chubb that goddamn ball.
Oh, yeah. And, I have to keep reiterating what I've been saying since we basically started. I love the wave of power football that we have coming through the league. Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook. Everyone who can just cut it up north-south, lower their shoulder, not afraid to get dirty and get physical. I love it.
Austin
Eckler, Phillip Lindsay, just not afraid. I love it.
I know. There's so many great players, and you just look at everything that's happened within free agency. You could just check any team and just see what they've done by not only looking who they've added, but who they have let go as well. And so, I know. I know for Pittsburgh, you guys got rid of not only Juju, but also Ray McLeod. So now you're making Chase Claypool your number 1 receiver. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we also got rid of James Washington.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But you still have Freiermuth at the tight end.
We have Freiermuth the tight end,
yeah.
Yes. But we also picked up, in free agency, Gunnar
Olszewski. Yeah.
From New England.
Yep.
So he's probably going to wind up being our number 2, number 3. And as upsetting as it is, because personally I liked Ray Mcleod. I told you from the start that kid was a stud in training. So I'm going to keep an eye out for him, especially in San Francisco, playing with Trey Lance.
And alongside Debo.
And Brandon Ayuk.
That's a nasty trio.
Oh, my God.
That's a nasty trio.
Oh, my God. All they need is a running back.
See, this is the beauty of free agency, is just thinking about the possibilities with all these different big players and what they're capable of doing is just very fun to think about, and think of also what teams are thinking about their team as well, because just briefly, I just want to say Tyrod Taylor signed with the Giants this offseason I'm guessing a contingency plan from Daniel Jones. So I'm guessing the Giants probably next year are going to be looking for a quarterback in the offseason.
I feel like this may be the last stretch with Daniel Jones.
I think so too.
That's unfortunate. I have a soft spot for Daniel Jones. Dude can play.
He can.
Dude can play, and
he's tough.
He's another one of those quarterbacks that ended up in a position that was set to fail. He was the same situation as Baker, only in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Giants fans. You guys are the Browns of the NFC. Prove me wrong.
Tough times in the kingdom.
Prove me wrong.
No, they are a very historic franchise that have not lived up to the success of their old days. But the Browns have had such a low success compared to the Giants.
I'm not talking about career success. I'm talking about current success and current turmoil going from inside out.
But the thing is, though, there's no drama with Daniel Jones.
No, he's just not being. He wasn't coached right.
No, and he's also had a lot of different coaching changes throughout his career
Correct.
as well. So he hasn't had a consistent regime to be under, a consistent coach to be under, to learn from. So, but he is a good player.
Oh yeah,
but I would
Duke
expect
can ball.
the Giants to move off quarterback this year, because signing Tyrod Taylor this year really means it's like, hey, look, we may pull you.
Right. There is a chance that we're going to give him looks in the regular season. And now Tyrod Taylor in the Giants uniform, I don't mind that.
I don't mind. I've always liked Tyrod Taylor.
I've had a soft spot for him. I like him.
I've always had a soft spot. He started with the Ravens, baby.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Now one of the best journeyman quarterback alongside Ryan Fitzpatrick. What a career.
He is the best journeyman, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I would say so, yes. But Tyrod Taylor, he's been on so many different teams, but he's been so successful with so many different teams. So yeah. I think the Giants look at him and think, look, he's had success with multiple teams under multiple coaching regimes.
Right.
He can just go onto the field and he could just play.
He can just play.
And so for that, I'm really excited for, like, if he's able to be on the field, I would like to see him play his heart out on the field. I also want to say, within that division, Carson Wentz to Washington. What are your thoughts on that?
You know my thoughts on Carson Wentz.
But with Ron Rivera.
I feel like Ron Rivera is going to get over his shit real quick. Like, he may be the one that needs to knock Carson Wentz down a couple of pegs. Mm-hmm. Carson Wentz is coming in. I feel like Carson Wentz kind of has a little bit of an ego that goes underseen. Mm-hmm. It may not go seen to everybody, but I feel like he comes in with the, I'm Carson Wentz. I'm the one who changed the energy of Philly. No, dude, that's not you. That wasn't you. Keep in mind, you were injured for most of that season.
No, but if you're referring to the Eagles play,
Super Bowl run.
Well, he actually had an MVP caliber season that year up until his injury, which was in week 11, if I'm not mistaken. And for the rest of that season, then Nick Foles took over. So it was I think an 11-game stretch. He had a really good run. But that's the thing is, out of his entire career, he's played
great 11 games.
That was the highlight of his career.
Right.
But honestly, you put him around. You don't give him a lot of responsibility. You put him in a team similar to what the Colts were last year, where, look, you're going to have a lot of great skill position players around you. Just look for them. You don't have to be the one to make the play. Mm-hmm. Just give it to the next man who can make the play. Give it to Pittman. Give it to T.Y. Hilton. Give it to Jonathan Taylor. Now you put him in a situation, okay, you give him to Terry McLaurin. You give it to Antonio Gibson. You give it to your skill position players and lessen his load so that he doesn't put your team in a situation where it could really change the outcome of that game, or put them at such a detriment that it really kills the game for you. Because he's done that time and time again.
You see, and that's where I keep the idea where he's a backup playing starter. Mm. Backups go in when they're needed. A starting quarterback is needed at any time, not at any particular time. Mm-hmm. We can't put you in there when you're needed as a starting quarterback. We may need you here because someone can't get it done. So you look over when he played in the Colts are ready to win now. And that's very obvious. They are ready to win now. But Carson Wentz was really the one setting them back with. He had a very good season. I'm not taking anything away from his season last year. He is not the caliber of player that is for that team. Mm-hmm. He is not. He had a good season. The stars made him look great. He played good. They played better. Mm-hmm. He doesn't fit for what they want. And I think Matt Ryan might have that talent gap, that closing of the talent where it could actually bring them somewhere.
Yeah, because I trust Matt Ryan more than I trust Carson Wentz.
I agree.
Because Matt Ryan has, even though he has one style of play where he's just that prototypical quarterback where he just stands in the pocket and will not move, but he can read the field well, and he can be a field general and move up and down the field. I trust Matt Ryan a lot more, and especially with the team that the Colts already have. I agree, because they're set not only on offense but on defense as well. Like they're ready. They have a really good, solid defense under Frank Reich. Mm-hmm. So I would really like to see what the Colts are going to be doing. Washington, with Carson Wentz, they're definitely going to be sub 500. It's just a matter of how much.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how much.
But man, there's been so many changes. But I don't think we talked about this. Russell Wilson
to Denver.
To the Denver Broncos.
He goes home.
What do you mean home?
He's from Denver.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
Oh, then word.
So he's going home.
He's going to be with Denver for, 5-6 years?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to end his career in Denver.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which is crazy to think about, the team that he won his Super Bowl against.
Right.
He's going to end his career with.
It's so poetic.
It is.
It's so poetic.
You couldn't write this shit.
No. You couldn't make it any better. I love it. We were saying all year that the Broncos were a quarterback away from being, deep playoff run contenders. There he is.
I'll be honest. I love to see Russell Wilson in a change of scenery because he definitely deserves it. Because Seattle, the team around him, was just not the team that he knows to win. So everything was put on him to win. They couldn't win games unless Russell had to be special.
Right.
So now you put him in a situation where it's no, you don't have to be special. You just
got to be yourself.
You just don't put us in a position to lose the game. And I think for that he'll be okay. And then he can really dictate the offense because the Broncos are going to be under a very new regime, under their new head coach, and with Russell Wilson at quarterback, I think he's going to be really calling his own shots, and I like to see that. I really do because he's a very smart quarterback. Mm-hmm. So when he sees the field, he's very articulate. He reminds me and I've been saying it for years. I put him in that class with Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees at that time. And I still keep him within that class of Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, where they are absolutely special, but their team is just never up to par to do it.
I can agree with that.
And Seattle just can't honestly go all in, so they understand that now they're going to be in a rebuild. So it's going to be interesting to see where Seattle goes from here. They have, who's their quarterback now? Oh, Drew Lock. Drew Lock is their quarterback.
Yep.
So they're drafting first overall next year, right?
They may farm for draft picks this throughout the season. There's a lot of teams that have a lot of pocketed draft picks.
They may draft upwards in the draft.
They could try to trade up and get Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett.
Or was it Mac? Wait, no. Willis.
Oh, I think his first name is Marcus Willis, or something like that. He's a quarterback, I believe.
No, Malik Willis.
Malik Willis,
Yeah.
yes. I can't think off the top of my head what college he's from, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Dude's talented though.
Yeah.
I saw his pro day.
Mm-hmm.
I did see his pro day. He's solid. Something that's actually funny, a little side note for Kenny Pickett. He has the smallest hands in draft combine history. Dude's got some baby hands.
Hey, if he could play football, then it don't matter. But...
No, I get it. It's just funny to me because he's I think he's 6'2",
mm-hmm.
and he has I think they measured 8.5-inch hands going across. Just tiny, just mad tiny.
Oh man, just thinking about where teams are going to be going in the long term and the short term is very fascinating. But let me ask you this. Going back to Russell Wilson, where does Denver stack up in the AFC now?
You see, that's a very loaded question. And let me tell you why. Will he make a definitive impact in Denver? Absolutely.
Yeah.
With how competitive the AFC is, can we still see them in maybe a wild card spot?
I would like to.
It's a stretch because of how much talent there is in the AFC,
I know,
and that's a sad truth. And that's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And that's no fault of theirs. That's just how competitive the AFC as a conference has become. Mm-hmm. Out of all the teams in the AFC, there's only a couple teams where you're like, yeah, they're not a playoff team.
I want you to think about this, because you can consider all of the AFC West in contenders.
Playoff
you can
teams.
Consider all the AFC North contenders. 2 from the South, 3 from
the North,
3 from the East.
From the East, right?
4 from the North. And you basically have 13 out of 16 teams in the AFC can compete for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely... The only 3 teams that we know are just not competing for any Super Bowl is the Jets, the Jags, and the Texans. Everyone else can.
Absolutely. Everyone else has that potential to do so. And I'm pretty sure there isn't someone who is a fan of an AFC conference champ who wouldn't be mad at any team going. Except for the Patriots.
I hope they don't make... Honestly, I hope the Broncos make it instead of the Patriots next year.
I would like to see the Broncos make a deep playoff run this year.
Wait. I'm just thinking of the matchup. Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills. What? I want to see that matchup.
Honestly, Denver doesn't stand a chance.
I just want to see I want to see what Russell Wilson could do in Denver. That's going to be probably one of the primetime games next year. It might be Mahomes.
Is that on the schedule?
They haven't released the schedule yet.
Okay.
We will keep you guys updated when they release the schedule.
I thought they did, but
I promise you that's going to be one of the first primetime games is Russell Wilson versus Mahomes.
That's going to be insane. That is going to be an insane game.
It's going to happen twice this year. So you put him in KC first, or you bring
him to Mile High. You see, and that's it's a little bit concerning because, like I said, Russell Wilson used to live in Denver. He hasn't lived up in that altitude for a very long time. He lived on the other side of a mountain in Seattle. He lived on the leeward side, not a windward. So he was below sea level, and now he's going a mile above sea level.
He'll be fine.
I hope it doesn't affect his gameplay. We're gonna see some jet lag. I'm calling it now. We're going to.
I think honestly, training camp's going to do a lot of wonders for him in preseason as well.
Oh, I'm sure he's that type of player.
He invests in his body. He spends over, I think, $1 million on his body every year for just making sure that it's the best physical condition it could possibly be in. So he's one of those players along with Brady where it's he invests in himself. Right. And it shows. And I think it really sets him apart because he's just been such a consistent rock for Seattle for so long and has brought them into relevance where it's like the Broncos have not been relevant since they've had Peyton Manning. They have not sniffed the playoffs at all since Peyton Manning has left and retired. So I think Denver is getting... They're like, hey, look, we have a team constructed. We just need a quarterback. And Russ, you wanna come through?
As happy as I am about Miami picking up, filling some holes, the one thing I wish that we could see would be Philip Lindsay with Russell Wilson. I feel like I feel like that would have wound up to be a really cool tandem to watch in Denver.
Yeah.
But of course, because I'm pretty sure Miami picked him up at the end of last season before the trade deadline. Picked him up on waivers. But I'm pretty sure he finished the season hurt. I don't think he did much. But the Dolphins also filled up some running back issues.
Yeah, they got Raheem Mostert as well, and they still have Philip Lindsay. So and now you have Tyreek Hill and Cedric Wilson
and Jalen Waddle. You have the fastest receiving core in the league, and it's not close.
Teron Armstead at tackle, which is Tua's dominant side. So
right. So now he has his rollout guy.
Yeah. So I think the Dolphins are. It's safe to say that they can definitely compete for a playoff contention.
Well, yeah, they set a tone last season.
They even though a lot of people would criticize the teams that they played against. Like the best team, I guess they won within that stretch was the Ravens at that point in time. But since then, they consistently found a way to win. And I think Tua is one of those quarterbacks where he knows he can consistently find a way to win games. And I think now you put him in a good situation. You invest in Tua, which is what we've been saying for quite some time now.
You have to invest.
Just invest in Tua. And now the Dolphins are like, we see, we understand.
Right, listen, I've been saying it since he was drafted. There is a reason why this young man dislocated his hip the year he was drafted and was still a lottery pick in the draft. There's a reason for that. He is a generational talent. He is talented beyond repair.
Mm-hmm.
So is Trey Lance. The both of them are absolutely unbelievable athletes. I cannot wait to see what's in store for them.
Mm-hmm.
But because now both teams are investing in them. Bringing in Ray Mcleod, a young gun receiver, to San Francisco to stand beside Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk for Trey Lance.
Just thinking of all the possibilities with all these talented players, like playing alongside each other. It's just great to see because it's they want to be there and they want to play alongside each other,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just going to be so great to see because just thinking about the possibilities that these teams can do is just absolutely insane.
It's unbelievable, especially like these young teams that have younger coaches and they have so much money. Like the team that really comes to mind there is the Rams. And we were talking about it off air. All these older coaches, they were afraid to spend money. Or they didn't want to spend money because they knew just how easily someone could get hurt. Which is very understandable. But you look at the Rams, Jeff Fisher never spent any money on anybody. And now you have Sean McVay coming in. And he's like, you know what? We're going to go into this all-in mentality. And look at how many players that they've signed on huge deals. And they're still in the green.
Yeah, the Rams are one of those teams where the players understand that if we just don't take max money like per position, we can keep the team and play alongside each other for a while.
Right.
And so it's good to see because now you have a lot of, especially on their offensive line, because that's one that a unit that they have invested in over time as well. They're going to need to find a replacement for Andrew Whitworth, who has retired.
Mm-hmm.
But they could. There's definitely, I'm sure they could do that in the draft or however they want to go about it.
They'll find someone.
But nevertheless, they're one of those teams that the players understand, like, hey, look, we're good now. Let's play now. Let's win now. And in the NFC, it's crazy because you think of how deep the AFC is, but the NFC is just heavy at the top. Because you still have Tampa, you still have the Rams, you still have the 49ers, and Aaron Rodgers isn't going away anytime soon. NFC East is a joke, but
yeah.
I honestly think Philly might come out of that division next year. I
like Philly, man.
I like Philly.
Jalen Hurts is a baller, and I'm tired of people not thinking it. You know, I don't understand what the mentality that people think that Jalen Hurts isn't a baller. The dude's a stud.
He's
an absolute stud.
And they have a very slept-on team last year. The number one rushing team in the league.
And it was because of him.
He was a significant part of that.
Let me ask you something. Who's the only quarterback to throw for 3,000 yards and run for 1,000 in a regular season?
Oh, was it Jalen Hurts?
It was Jalen Hurts. Yes, with 10 or more touchdowns.
Didn't Lamar do that also during his MVP season? Yeah, because he ran for over.
But it wasn't his rookie season.
Oh no, not his rookie. Well, it wasn't Jalen Hurts.
Oh, this is his sophomore season.
Yeah,
right?
that was his second year.
Sophomore season.
Now he's entering his third year.
You're right. I think it was like 3,000 yards, 1,000 rushing yards, and 10 plus touchdowns.
That might have been it because I don't think Lamar got that many rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. Come on. How can you not see? And everyone's trying to call him a watered down Lamar.
No, Jalen Hurts is a baller, and I think the Eagles are probably going to win that division. So honestly, but you know what? I would like to see that because you look at the teams in the NFC. It's just there's not many other contending teams aside from just what we can suspect. Because there's a lot of middle-of-the-pack teams. They can make the jump. I would like to see... There's a few teams I would like to see make the jump this year. I'd like to see Minnesota make the jump because I do have a soft spot for Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see Philly as well, as I mentioned before. I would like to see the Cardinals, but it seems they're just not...
They still need a couple of pieces.
Yeah, they're just not there yet.
Man, it seems like there's some, under the table shit happening with Kyler Murray. He's doing some type of shit on social media. He took all of his Arizona Cardinals things down. He's hinting at a trade.
Mm-hmm.
So, the feelers are out in Arizona from what it looks like already, and I don't like that when it comes to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's a stud too. He's small.
Yeah, he gets hurt a lot too.
Right. I hope the best for him.
Mm-hmm.
I love Kyler Murray. He was a slow burn, and then he came out this season lithium hot. And, that is kind of his downfall.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of shot himself in the toe because he came out on the longest season and he didn't pace himself enough.
Mm-hmm.
And he wound up gassing himself. And now he gassed himself to the point where presumably the team is starting to question you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do it this long? That's the question now, is how long can you do it for at this pace?
And again, the Cardinals are just one of those teams where I want to see them take the step, but they just seem to kind of be getting in their own way right now.
Yes.
As an organization, they just can't really agree on the same page as from players to like executives and stuff. They just can't really see eye to eye there. But man, there's gonna be some great football this
I am
season.
so excited for this season, more than last season, because of just how intently we've been looking at the talent coming in, and I can't wait for the draft, my dude.
Oh, do you want to tell them what we have planned?
Surprise, guys! We are going live for the draft, the first round. We will be live the first night of the draft. I believe it is Wednesday.
So it's actually Thursday.
It's a Thursday night.
April 28th. Catch us live. We're going to be watching the first round of the draft. And honestly, I'm excited because watching this event, they really made it into an event now.
Yeah.
And it's just seeing the players have the opportunity to be a part of some great organizations it's just very emotional to watch. I like it. I'm really happy for them as players because they were picked, they were chosen to be a part of these organizations.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't take any disrespect away from undrafted players too. Like if you're able to play in the NFL, that's
right.
It's honestly so great. But because it's the best of the best.
Yeah, you are one of the best athletes in the world. You are one of the strongest people in the world, bar none.
Playing one of the most
brutish sports in the world. It's
the most punishing.
It is, without a doubt, it's one of the most punishing sports. I believe the only second would be rugby because it's football without pads, with a lot more complex rules.
Football, European football.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. We're not gonna do that.
What we Americans call soccer. But no, catch us April 28th, Thursday, live for the first round of the draft. It's going to be fun, and I
believe it starts at 8:00.
Yeah.
So yes, it is going to be fun. I can't wait. I believe it's going to be great.
Oh, it's going to be so great.
So, Mike, one question to you though. We're going to backtrack a little bit to Deshaun Watson to the Browns.
Okay.
Because as of right now, they've signed him. I think it was about 11 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
If they decide to cut Baker Mayfield, what happens?
That's a loaded question.
What happens?
So, you know what? I just want to backtrack real quick. So the Browns signing Deshaun Watson. Now, they're signing him, and he still has, I believe, 22 suits against him in court, like 22 allegations in court.
And two, court justices may appeal, 4 out of the 11 that he came to terms with. He settled on, I think, 11 of them. Okay. And I think they may appeal 4 of them and take 4 of them back to trial. Mm-hmm. So there's still a chance he winds up in court.
Okay. I mean, with that going on, this is an ongoing saga for Deshaun Watson. And I believe because of that, they have the league might feel compelled to suspend him for a couple games. I think it would not be unlikely to see that because team players have actually got suspended for less. So it's really I would not be surprised if that happens going this season. The Browns may keep Baker Mayfield, but I think honestly, this is my opinion. What's going to happen? I believe they're going to cut him, and whatever team he's not going to play in the preseason or the offseason for a team. He's going to be floating in free agency, and it's not going to be until within the first couple weeks of the season, because unfortunately there's always injuries in the league, and we track them. We track them every year, and there's just so many of them, and it's unfortunate, but probably a team that's going to be desperate enough to want a quarterback after one gets hurt, which I guess is cynical. It's very cynical, but but a team that feels that they need a quarterback will sign him, and I don't think at this point in time any team feels compelled that they need a quarterback. They feel set with what they have.
Yeah, I can agree with that. The only thing that I really see in Baker's future is you are going to wind up being a backup somewhere. Everyone has moved on from the energy that Baker brings. He seems to be a good teammate. He definitely lifted the energy of Cleveland. He started what we see now in Cleveland. He started that alone too. And then they started bringing in pieces slowly and surely. They never brought in the right pieces at the right time. They never really got more than one offensive lineman. They had one, then they got skill guys, running backs, tight ends, and they gave him the weapons, but he was still scrambling in and out of the pockets, and they never invested in protecting him. Mm-hmm. And he kept the energy from when he was in college that he was better than everybody. He didn't need to study. He didn't need to watch film. He was going to let pure talent get him through. And with how fast the league is becoming and how good the league is becoming, you can't do that anymore. Ben Roethlisberger did that. Brett Favre did that. And what happened to them? They wound up being beat-up old men and shells of themselves and careers. I'm a Ben Roethlisberger fan. I love him to death. The end of his career was painful to watch.
I'll be honest, though. I wouldn't even put Baker Mayfield.
I'm not putting him in that caliber. I know. I'm just putting it as a general reference because those are the two that come to mind when it comes to they let raw talent speak for themselves. And now the caliber gap was completely different. Mm-hmm. But that's where Baker, his mentality was at. Mm-hmm. I'm this good. I don't need to train. When in actuality, he needed to train harder than anybody else to even get close.
I'll give you another comparison. Carson Wentz. Just deciding on raw talent.
But Baker has more talent than Carson Wentz.
He does, but even still, like coming into the league, remember Carson Wentz was drafted, I think, like second overall, and so
right
behind Jared Goff.
Or actually, I'll give you two examples: Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston.
Oh yes,
from when they were drafted number 1 and 2 overall, and look at where they are now. Marcus Mariota just scored a starting spot for the first time in years.
In Atlanta. So, Kyle Pitts with Marcus Mariota.
Where's Jamie Wins?
Does he have a team?
Pretty sure he's a backup in New Orleans right now.
He's still on New Orleans, right?
I think he's a backup in New Orleans still. Okay. But backup.
Well, he was starting last year, but then he got
that's
hurt.
Because New Orleans has been in limbo for a quarterback since Drew Brees has left. They didn't know if they were going to go with Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston.
Yeah. But that was just last year, though. That's the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But, is he the caliber to be a starter? No, because he got hurt again.
Well, I mean,
we'll have to see.
I don't believe just because, obviously because you get hurt doesn't mean that you're not a starter.
No, but it
does hurt your career. Like Jimmy Garoppolo, for example. Like he gets hurt
a lot.
He's made of glass, but he's still a starting caliber quarterback when he's on the field. And I see what you mean where it's like, is Jameis Winston a starting caliber quarterback? Probably at his best, maybe, but he can't consistently do that, and his best is very few and far between. He's just the 50,
he's the 50-50 man.
He's the 50-50, But he definitely cleaned up last year when
I
he
agree.
did play. Like his touchdown to interception ratio. I know you and I we talked about it before.
Mm-hmm.
His touchdown to interception ratio was a lot better, and that's exactly what he needed to do under Sean Payton.
And that's all well and fine, but that this falls into the same conversation about Christian McCaffrey. Now let me explain. At what point do your injuries become a hindrance? And now you're off the field so often that your effects on the field is no longer as prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Christian McGaffrey; he's played 6 games since 2019.
Yeah.
So, but when he's on the field, he's the best player on the field.
Mm.
And he is a stud when he's healthy. That hamstring is going to kill him.
Yeah, I think.
And now you look at Jameis Winston.
Mm-hmm.
When he's on the field, he can play and he plays well. But he's now having rolling, lingering injuries. He'll have a good season, he gets hurt. Have a good season, he gets hurt. Have a good season, he gets hurt. Or he'll have multiple minor injuries throughout the season where he has to sit 2, 3, 4 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Then he'll come back, have a great game, he'll get hurt again. He'll aggravate whatever he got hurt 6 weeks ago. So, at what point do your lingering injuries become an overall hindrance and we can't use you as a starter anymore? That's for the coaches and the athletics training staff to decide.
That's for them to decide, and also ultimately it comes down to the player's choice to be like, hey, look, am I good enough to play? Like, do I know my body well enough that it is well enough to be able to play at my best capability, like, and trying obviously like just to do the right thing to not get hurt.
Right.
On and off the field.
Right.
So I put it at the hands of the players, like to really decide, be like, hey, look, I want to be like, I'm good enough to play, like you could put me in, or it's like, or you're just not at your capability, and it's like, I don't want to be a detriment to the team. Let me talk to, and it's good for players to have a good rapport with their coaching staff because they work together,
mm-hmm.
and I think that some players just get along good with some coaching staffs,
mm-hmm.
and I think for Jameis, he should stay in New Orleans because that's a good coaching staff for him to be under. That's a good regime that they take care of their own, like they take care of the players there. Players really like to play there. Cam Jordan has played his whole career there, and he has really enjoyed it there. So it's just crazy to think about. Like, there's just so many in the NFC. So many quarterbacks are like, are they starting? Are they playing? And that's why the only teams that are really in contention are the teams that we trust the
top-heavy teams.
Are the top-heavy teams with, Brady, Stafford, Rodgers, Garoppolo. Like, okay, and then because we trust that they're going to be there. Fucking trust Tom Brady's going to be there because he's just always goddamn there.
Right. Now, one final question that how long do you think it's going to be like this? How long do you think it's going to be a top-heavy dual conference league? Because right now the AFC has become a jam-packed team conference of competition, and the NFC is very top-heavy, as we've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
How long until both conferences are so jam-packed locked that we're just like, I have no idea.
For the NFC, it's going to take time because it always changes. Every season, the NFL always changes. There's always new teams that rise, teams that fall for different reasons, and teams with expectations, teams with really high aspirations, and some teams that just kind of are lucky to be where they are and win. And so the teams that are well constructed teams with great personnel and good coaching staffs as well. Like, those are the successful teams. So it's like you look at the NFC, there's a lot of mismatch, like either new coaches or new drastic personnel changes or players that are going to have set different expectations this year. Like, for instance, the players that have at least 1 year of their team under their belt, Justin Fields, Jared Goff, how are they going to be? Carson Wentz is starting with his new one. Who the hell in Carolina? Whoever the hell in New Orleans? Whoever Marcus Mariota.
Baker to Carolina. It may be the only spot he winds up.
They really don't have a quarterback other than, they have Sam Darnold, but they can't.
They can't trust in Sam Darnold.
They can't trust in Sam Darnold, but they know if they go to another quarterback, they know that signing Sam Darnold last year was just clearly a mistake.
It was clearly.
And do they have enough pride to be like, hey, look, we made a mistake?
Yeah, because they brought back Cam Newton.
They did. because he was injured. Sam Darnold was injured.
Yeah, but they needed someone. But at the same time, it's like, please come back.
Yeah.
We saw how he was playing.
Oh no, they didn't want
to.
Even when he did come back, he sucked.
Right. Even when he did come back, he got one touchdown and then he played like crap. Says I'm back and then he leaves again while he has a uniform on.
I mean, I wouldn't mind Baker to Carolina because honestly, I just don't trust Carolina with what they have. I mean, I like Cam, and I feel bad for Sam Darnold, but
I pity him.
Tom Brady just looks at him and he says, "Free wins."
He looks at him.
He looks at him and says, "Wait, I played against you before when you were on the Jets."
He goes, "I remember you. I remember you."
No, he looked at him and he's like, "I've already forgotten you."
Don't worry, no one's gonna remember your name. All right, guys. So there you have it. There is our free agency episode. This free agency has been absolutely out of this world. The rest of the offseason, I can only imagine, is going to continue to be even more insane. And please join us on the first night of the draft because we will be doing something special where we are going live and we are going to talk about who gets drafted where. We're going to look at it from a couple of different standpoints, which we think you guys will enjoy. Please feel free to leave a like, a comment, subscribe to our page. Tell anybody we are here. Here we go.
And we're here to talk about football. So
that's it.
Please join us, and I can't wait. It's going to be a great time.
All right, guys.